Hello everyone, SiegeLink here, back with the next part of the Budapest Starladder Pickems. Stage 1 kind of went exactly how I expected, with the exception of the 3-0s. I mentioned before how I was pretty confident in the teams that were going to go through, but I wasn't confident in the 3-0s or the 0-3s. In fact, I was a lot more confident in the 0-3s than I was in the 3-0s. And let's just say that couldn't have been more correct with these two teams, M80 and FlyQuest, of which I mentioned in my video I could very well have seen M80 going 0-3. And I had Red Candidates and Huns, and unfortunately Gamer Legion, a team that I was very confident with going through, was like the only team I was really disappointed in. Lin Vision, I knew there was a chance they might not make it through, but I certainly didn't expect them to go 0-3. Gamer Legion was the disappointment of the tournament. Like, they are a very consistent team at this level against teams like this, and the fact that they didn't, not only did they not make it through, they're lucky to have even gotten a game. Like, after that Red Candidates game, I'm surprised they even beat Rare Atom. Like, Gamer Legion sucked. But in terms of the teams that I actually had going through, I got 4 of them correct. I was 1 away. And going into day 3, it was looking pretty bad because I basically had to have every game going for me. I needed I needed Paravision to beat Bait, Fnatic to beat Imperial. This game didn't matter, and I could have lost one of these games, which I did, which was this one. But this one right here was the most important. Linvision wouldn't have made it, but they at least would have given. We would have seen basically the same situation where I've got 2 of my teams where one moves on, one loses. But Linvision, I'm pretty sure, would have faced FaZe. So you would have had this situation where 2 of my teams are guaranteed to be eliminated, 2 of my teams move on, which is fine because 4 of my teams made it here. So if 3 make it, if only 3 make, or if these 4 still make it, but I get the Huns pick correct, I would have gotten 5. Most people I saw on the stage got either 3, 4, or 5. And surprisingly, I got 4. This is actually the first time I've ever gotten 4. I've gotten 2, 3, and 6. So I still feel pretty good about myself because I knew I wasn't supremely confident about the 3-0 or the 0-3s, but especially the 3-0. And honestly, the only people who got this 3-0 correct were people that went random. And honestly, I would not be surprised if someone went random and actually got these pick'ems correct. Although maybe not with these, because these are a lot of teams that people had going through. Now, moving on to stage 2, some people say that they're more confident with this. Not in the slightest. I don't think I'm going to get 0 pick'ems correct, but I could very well get 1 or 2 correct. This stage, I think over half these teams, like Aurora, Liquid, Astralis, Taiwu, Passion, I don't even know the new Passion, FlyQuest, M80, Bait, NIP, basically all of these teams, for the most part, with very few exceptions, I think are teams that could go anywhere from 3-0 to 0-3. Like, this one's going to be all over the place, so I am absolutely not confident going through this. There's very few that I'm actually feeling kind of confident about. So let's start with the one I'm most confident about, and that's Na'Vi going 3-0. Na'Vi against these teams here, they're, I think, the most consistent. Like, they've not been like the number 1 or even in the top 3 or top 5 for quite a while, but none of like the big teams are here. There's no Vitality, there's no Furia, there's no Falcons, there's no Mauser Spirit, there's not even a Mongols. You know, G2 and Pain maybe not as much, but like these are all the teams that Na'Vi usually loses to. Like, the only other teams they can lose to here are like FaZe, Liquid, Aurora, maybe like 3D Max, maybe on a bad day like Astralis, or maybe a Taiwu or M80 catches them off guard. But like, the 3-0s, again, this stage is so random, you could literally just do a random select here. So I think Na'Vi is, while they're not usually the best of the best, they definitely are still a very consistent team. And for that reason, I think they're the best pick to go 3-0. I think you could put pretty much anyone else going 3-0, but Na'Vi I'm pretty confident with. The other team I'm going to have going 3-0, I really don't want to do this because I feel very confident they're going to make it through, and putting them 3-0 is a big risk. But honestly, the rest of these teams are known for choking. This team is just not known for choking as much, even if they're not as good of a team as some of these other teams, and that's 3D Max. I think 3D Max, same reason as Na'Vi, against a lot of teams here, they're just the best of the best. Like the teams that are better than them here, like Aurora, like Liquid, like FaZe, they have been known for choking. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people, I've heard a lot of people not even put FaZe through here, which I don't blame them entirely given what we saw in stage 1. Now, this is something I will admit, this is just on me. There's not like qualifier games like there used to be, and because of that, I've not been able to find any games on these guys. The new Passion Boys, I don't know anything about them. So I'm definitely not putting them through, and I'm gonna put them 0-3 simply because there's a lot of teams that could go 0-3 here, and it's just hard, man. I have a lot of situations where Paravision, Bait, Passion, Imperial, even like Fnatic, FlyQuest, like there's even a straw, like there's so many teams that can go 0-3 here. At this point, at this stage, I basically would not be surprised at any team going 0-3 except these two. And probably Aurora. I think Liquid has a higher chance of choking 0-3 than Aurora does. Like, I would not be surprised basically any team going 0-3, but I'm gonna go with Passion. Because even though I don't know them, I think they just have a lot of tough matchups. And there's a lot of other teams you can put here. I'm not confident in this, especially since round 1 they're going up against another Brazilian team. I'm gonna put Imperial, which it still is confusing me why there's 2 separate symbols for Imperial. That's still confusing me. But Imperial, they are going to get some good matchups, which is why it's very risky to put them 0-3. But once they go 0-3, they're either going to face Passion or they're going to face a team like Bait, Fnatic, or Paravision. And honestly, I do think Imperial can win that, but I wouldn't bet on it. So that's going to be my 0-3s, my 3-0s. Navi is the only one I'm semi-confident with. 3D Max, not really that confident with. I think there's a lot of teams that can go 3-0 here. I was originally thinking Liquid, but again, with Liquid known for being able to choke, but like because they're known for choking, you could put them 3-0 and hope that they just don't make it. But at this stage, unfortunately, I think Liquid's not going to be outclassed by that many people, unless they get like a really big upset against the other American teams like MIBR, like M80. I think he could potentially even beat FaZe with how they're doing right now. So for the teams going through 3-1 and 3-2, like I said, even though I do think they're known for choking, these teams I think are just, Team Liquid and Aurora especially, I think at this level, I do think they might not make it, but I feel decently confident that at least one of those teams is going to make it. And FaZe Clan, as much as I agree that they did most definitely underperform massively in the last stage, FaZe Clan is a team that pretty much always gets better the longer the tournament goes on. So even though they have a rough stage 1, you kind of expect them to have a rough stage 1 to some extent. You know, as much as some people said, you know, some people had them 3-0 and they were like, you know, at this stage, you know, FaZe should be destroying everyone. You don't know FaZe Clan. Okay, this is the type of team that will struggle against nobodies and then destroy, like, the top teams in the world, okay? So, I can understand not putting them through, but personally, especially since, you know, quite a lot of majors ago, they did lose against a no-name team, Bad News Eagles, who literally didn't even have an organization and was just a bunch of guys who were friends that just were really good at Counter-Strike. And FaZe ended up going 0-3 because of it. And I think in that tournament, I actually had FaZe going 3-0, which was kind of funny. But then again, back then, I didn't know any of the matchups. I didn't know how Pickems worked. So I'm much more confident nowadays, even if right now I'm very much not. And for the teams here, Taiwu is a big risk because I put a lot of confidence in Linvision, and they really disappointed me. And you know, I think, you know, a lot of people had this idea of you should never put like the Asian or Chinese teams going 0-3. That was completely shattered the other day when both Rare Atom and Linvision went 0-3. So Taiwu, I do think they're better. They're quite a bit better than Linvision right now, but honestly, I'm still not super confident with them. I think they're going to be kind of a wildcard team. I think they're another team that could go 3-1, they could go 1-3, but this is one of the few teams I actually do see making it to the 5th round, where a lot of these teams, they're either going to get eliminated here or moving on here. Taiwu I can see getting to the 5th round. They might not make it, but I think they probably will. Next team, I'm going to put MIBR. This is a bit of a tough one for me because there are quite a few other American teams here. You got M80, you got Imperial, you got Liquid. But the thing about MIBR is that they're weirdly consistent at a major level. This is a team that you would think would not be able to compete with the big boys, but they just always do well. And most of the time, they almost always make it to stage 3. Given how this major is going, they very well might not, but compared to these other teams, I've seen struggles from Bait, from Fnatic, from Paravision. MIBR doesn't typically struggle at least as much at a major level. And honestly, they're a team that's not, like, because there's not really any super huge teams here, right? There's none of these big teams. Like, when you look at Shanghai, they ended up going 2-0, and they lost to Vitality, Mouse, and I want to say Liquid or another, like, really top team at that tournament. Like, if MIBR got a good draw and they went up against, like, Furia or Pain, or they went up against, like, trying to think who else was there. But, like, if they got a good draw in that final game, even, like, FaZe, I think they could have potentially made the playoffs, considering FaZe nearly lost to Furia. So, MIBR is a bit of a... It's just weirdly consistent at this level, and for that reason, I think I kind of just have to put them through. That is tough for me, because there's a lot of teams here I want to put through. I want to put M80 through, I want to put... Or actually, I don't want to put M80 through. I want to put NAP through, I want to put Fnatic through, I want to put Paravision through, I want to put Bait through. A tiny part of me wants to put Astralis through, but not as much. Looking back at the games, as I mentioned, Bait, they did a lot worse than it might look. Same with Paravision, and especially Fnatic. Fnatic, they went overtime against Red Candids. They lost to Fluxo. They destroyed Imperial, but look at NRG here. Like, none of these teams were like the top guys. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't face Bait. They didn't face FaZe. They didn't even face Paravision. Wait, hang on a sec. Red Candids. Okay, they faced Imperial. Imperial is literally the only team that Fnatic faced that is still in this stage. Okay, that's not good, because this stage is just getting harder. So as much as I think there's a lot of teams you could put here, a lot of the teams that you could put advancing are also a lot of the teams that I have potentially going 0-3 in the simulations. So for me, it's between two teams. I want to put NIP through because I feel like they're they're not really consistent, but, like, you know, they destroyed Fluxo. Sure, they lost to NRG, but they destroyed Linvision, and most importantly, they beat FaZe. So they're a team that can do really good or really bad. And as much as I want to put them through, I really hate to do this because I really want to hope that these guys fail. Unfortunately, I can't look past the 3-0s. I think both these 3-0 teams, they were big surprises, and for that reason, I'm going to put M80 through. I really don't want to do this because I'm still pretty salty, not just at the fact that they messed up my Pickems along with everyone else's Pickems, but because I still just don't think either of these teams are that good. I just can't deny how dominant they were. Like, sure, in the 3-0 match, they had pretty easy competition, but still, even against... When you're facing easy competition, it's not a matter of, like, oh yeah, you won, but it was against easy competition. It's a matter of how dominant you were able to make it. And both of these teams, FlyQuest and Imperial, or in NMA and M80, it was so dominant. Like, these other teams, especially Fluxo, were never even in the game. So I'm gonna put M80 through. FlyQuest, again, their results in previous majors just... They have a lot more experience than M80 at majors, and they still struggle with the third game. Like, FlyQuest, they went 3-0, but now they've still only won a total of one best of one. It actually would have been weirdly better for FlyQuest if they went 2-0, but then they lost twice in a row and then won here. So that way they could at least say that they might have a somewhat okay record in best of threes, or they have at least more best of three experience. Because them only having one, that was literally their first best of three win in a major. So I think you could very well put either of these teams through, but I'm gonna go with M80 personally. A lot of this is just gut feeling, at least at that point. And sure, you could argue that I'm just putting a lot of the teams that auto qualified here. But if you look at a lot of the past majors, typically speaking, usually around 1 to 3 of those teams don't make it. And when you look at things so far, I have Passion going 0-3 and I don't have Astralis going through. But the rest of the teams that had a buy in, I am putting through. And that's pretty accurate for how a lot of the past majors have went. But like I said, this major has already been all over the place. We could very easily see a complete repeat of Austin last year. I mean, we could see all of these teams going through. We could see Astralis beat, like, I mean, we could see Passion beat Navi for all I know. I genuinely have no clue what the heck is happening with majors anymore, with how crazy so many of these games have been. So I am not confident in the slightest when I save this, but the only thing I feel somewhat confident with is Navi. I do think I could get, 1 to 3. I think I could get 7. I think I could also very well get like almost 9. Like, this one's all over the place. I just can't repeat that enough. Like, no one's really confident after last time. People got 5 at most, and I really wish I had another day, to be blunt. Yeah, 1 day remaining to make your picks. It's late at night. I haven't had much time to think about this, but unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be changing this. So, as little confident I am with it, I'm just going to stick through it. And if I fail, I can't get the diamond coin anyways. And I do usually do better with my pick'ems in stage 3 in the playoffs. So, that's that. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in stage 3.